Many companies flop trying to reach Spanish-speaking audiences because they don't take into account some of the specifics that I'm going to share with you. So stick with me if you want to expand and grow your business to Spanish-speaking markets without creating a new product or service. My name is Rody Correa, and I lead Language Global Solutions, where for decades we have been helping global companies to reach Spanish-speaking audiences effectively and confidently without creating a new product or service using true localization. What I'd like to cover briefly today has to do with the different regions around the world that speak Spanish and how to address them and the type of Spanish that can be used to reach them more effectively with cultural relevance in a way that resonates on a local level. We can divide the world into 6 different regions to make it easier, which are North America, Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, and Spain. Those 6 regions speak very specific, different Spanish. So that has to be taken into account when you do localization and adaptation of your products, services, or tech solutions. What do you use? You can use Universal Spanish, Continental Spanish, or fully regional Spanish. Universal Spanish would be one that covers all the countries of the world and can be used for specific sectors, specific content, and specific industries. For example, when it comes to software solutions, it can pretty much be used because the terminology can be understood all around the world. And even though it is convenient in some aspects of the particular software to regionalize it more, it is an example of something, for example, a financial app can probably use 80% of Universal Spanish without the need for regionalizing it. Then you have Continental Spanish, which covers the Americas. Similarly, depending on the sector, the industry, and the type of content that you're talking about, you can use a Spanish that can be well understood in all of America. That is, North America, Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, and South America, but never Spain. Continental Spanish wouldn't work for Spain. Spain is its own specific Spanish, very different from the rest of Latin America or America. And that has to be very, very clear because you cannot mix the two. There will be a lot of misunderstandings and confusion. Then you have the fully regionalized Spanish, which can be used and should be used specifically for probably, most likely, for the functions of the business that have to do with the product, marketing and sales, customer service, HR and recruiting. Most likely, in those cases, you want to use regionalized Spanish for the different countries, which include the regions, but even within the regions, you have to take into account that there are differences. For example, in the US, depending on whether it's the East Coast or the West Coast or the southern section of the US, different Spanish is because of the presence of more Mexicans or more Caribbeans or South Americans. And therefore, there is also something similar to where you can use a Spanish that can be covered for all of them, but most of the time, it is preferable to resonate better on a local level to use regionalized Spanish. So when it comes to the different regions and the different styles of Spanish that you should use to reach them in a way that resonates well with those particular countries, keep in mind the 6 regions. Let's review them again. North America, Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, and Spain. And remember that within each of those regions, there are differences as well, depending on whether it's the coast, in the US, East Coast, West Coast, Southern area, or the Northern Central area. In Mexico, you also have the Southeast, you have the coast, you have the central, the capital city, or the northern area of Mexico, which also has regional characteristics, and they should be kept in mind. Within Central America, you should keep in mind that Costa Rica is different from the other countries of Central America. And in South America, there are marked differences between Argentina, a little bit of Uruguay, and then Chile and the other countries. So keep in mind the 6 areas, the different countries. Of course, we can give you more details about each one of them, but keep in mind that globally, and then you can use Universal Spanish, Continental Spanish, or fully regionalized Spanish. The one thing that you have to absolutely do is when you use copy that is colloquial or everyday language, that's when you have to most definitely really take into account that regionalizing and localizing and adapting to different countries is very, very important to reach them effectively and in a way that, again, resonates and it catches the meaning and the feeling of what your content is saying. So I hope that this is helpful. It's just a little brush on regions and styles of Spanish that you can use to reach them more effectively. If you want to know more about it, at the end of this video, there are different ways in which you can reach out to us. Be happy to also share more assets with tips and tricks and pitfalls to keep in mind so that you can reach Spanish-speaking audiences effectively and with confidence. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.